Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eternal Snap. It's been a minute. It's been a very long minute that you've last heard from myself because the last episode was with Elliot. I hope that you've been well. I hope that you've been fine, and whatever the case may be, I hope that you've been head above water. And today, unfortunately, it's just me. But fortunately, I'm proud to say that myself and my colleagues, my co-hosts, Elliot and Mistura, we have rounded up our service here. I am grateful that we've been able to contribute our quota to helping the federal government and serving the nation. Anywho, let's move right into today's episode. You can check back and tell us how have you been, how has Q1 been for you, because this is Q2 and I hope you were able to achieve your set of goals for Q1, where I was unable to achieve anything, but we move regardless. As for me, I have been well. I am very excited. Anywho, let's move into today's episode. I'm not going to break your heart yet, but you know this sound? The storm is coming. Right, that's what we are going to discuss today. If you are just joining in for the first time, I am Hannah Tosini, a climate education podcaster. I dabble a lot. I do a lot of things that makes me happy. I enjoy myself while doing it. I talk and I like to educate people about climate change and environmental sustainability. And I love taking pictures. I love dressing up. I love looking good. I love doing many things. And once in a while, I try to play detective using data sets. Yeah, that's what I am. A superhero, and I play superhero while at it. This is Eternal Snap. In case you've not heard about Eternal Snap before, or you've not listened to any of our episodes before, let me do a reintroduction. Eternal Snap is where we discuss about real life issues that affect us all. We discuss about real life issues that affect us all in order not to snap us out of existence. But on today's episode, we'll be discussing Lagos and the upcoming rain. If you've been living in Lagos your whole life, or you just recently moved into Lagos, or you're very conversant about everything about Lagos and your environment, you are very conscious of the environment or wherever you live in, I'm sure that it is no news that Lagos have an issue with flooding year in, year out whenever the rainy season comes in. And this affects so many things within the states. It affects everybody, the population as a whole. It affects economic stability, it affects businesses, it affects social life and every other thing in the states. So that is why it is important for us to discuss this topic today, because the storm is coming. So sit back, relax while I take you through the entire episode and discuss for the day. Bye. One might be thinking that, so what is new? What is the important thing? What is so interesting? And why we are very much aware that whenever it rains in Lagos, these things happen. We experience more traffic congestion, we experience business shuts down, certain businesses do not operate, and people encounter losses with their valuables. I could remember in 2021, if I want to walk down memory lane, if you are a resident of Lagos State and in 2021 you lived in Lagos State and you were actively living in Lagos State, there was a particular period in 2021 when it rained, and people living on the highland in Lagos and some other parts of Lagos experienced a certain type of flood where majority of their cars were submerged in water. That's a financial loss on your part. Now imagine if somebody had warned you earlier that it's going to rain and it's going to be flooding, this entire area is going to be flooded. You might have found a way around it. You might have been able to salvage the situation and not encounter that loss. That's right. That is why I am doing this today. In order for everyone not to encounter a particular loss that would regret or would shake our finances up, considering that the state of the economy right now would not even allow us to be that free to spend that type of money. We can take precautions. Now, according to the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment, he said that Lagos State is about to experience an amount of rainfall that they have not experienced before. So that's, an information that you need to know, right? Lagos State is going to experience an amount of rainfall that they have never experienced before, which is very important that you are being proactive about it. So that doubles down to what we are going to discuss today. If it rains in Lagos, some streets turn into river. People will wade through the water, going to work, going to your offices, and you are in that, dirty, muddy, dirty water, trying to find your way out of that flood. And one thing Lagos experienced, the type of flooding that Lagos State experienced, is what we call flash floods. And in case you do not know, flash floods are those type of floods that whenever it rains continuously, due to clogged drainage, due to bad drainage, the water overflows and gets into the streets and on the road, and eventually there is no passage of way for the water to get into the lagoon. And that is why we experience flash floods, particularly in Lagos State and on the mainland and on the highland. Aside that, the length of rain that we'll be experiencing is more. According to the Lagos State, sorry, I would like to read this because I do not have that off my head. According to the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment, he said that the Nigerian Meteorology Agency, NIMET, had on the 4th of February 2025, as part of its ministerial mandate, released this year's seasonal climate prediction, which was a forecast of the expected patterns of rainfall, temperature, and other weather parameters in the entire country. He explained that the briefing was conducted annually by the state in keeping with its proactive approach of informing and educating the public about the important climate information and to get them ready for the expected impact of the rainy season as well as other relevant weather events. He stated specifically that Ikeja is expected to have an onset date of 2nd of April. At the time I am recording this episode, it is 3rd of April 2025. So yesterday, 2nd of April, we experienced a massive amount of rainfall. I had been wanting to record this episode, but I kept stalling. So you just have to bear with me anyways. While Badagry is expected to have a rainfall onset date of 30th of March and the end season date of 4th of December with a rainfall annual amount of 1,978 millimeter. So, in case you do not know what that means, it means that we are going to experience more rainfall and for a lengthier period of time. Because rainy season on a normal day, we know that it spans from, let's say, April till about August ending September-ish, But right now, rainfall is expected to reach December the 3rd, which is a longer period. So be prepared, brace yourself up, because it's about to get messy in Lagos State. What are the things that you need to know? What are the things that you need to know? What are the things that you need to have an idea about? How do you think you can do it? How do you think you know what to do? So this year we're expecting more rainfall than usual. And if we are not prepared, it's going to be another year of an unnecessary chaos, which I do not want us to experience. So why does this matter? We have more rainfall, which equals to higher chances of flooding, like I said earlier. We have strong winds, as predicted by the Seasonal Climate Predictions Team and the NIMET, Nigeria Institute of Meteorology, which might result into property damage. We have poor drainage, which is simultaneous to increased risk of waterborne diseases. As of last year, there was a cholera outbreak, which was during the rainfall season. So we had an episode about that. If you could go back to listen, it is due to improper drainage system, poor drainage system. So let's look at real life scenario. You step out of your house looking very fresh, and you are ready to take on the day, but before you get to your destination, it starts to rain. It really starts to rain, and the next thing you know is that you are standing in flood water. You are trying to wade your way through the flood water, and peradventure, one part of that water gets into your mouth. You know what it is. You are getting into the hospital. Let's see. Let me break down the 2025 rainfall prediction very soon. So what's the forecast? It said that rain starts at the end of March and hence early December. So that's rain starts at the end of March and ends early December. That's 9 whole months of rain. The total rainfall that we are expecting is 1,936 millimeters. That's a lot of water. And then we have stronger winds at the beginning and at the end of the rainy season. I don't know. Shanty buildings, improper constructed buildings would have a lot to bear. And then we have flooding, likely in certain area, which is as a result of clogged drainage and improper drainage. So we have areas like Ikeja, which is going to experience about 1,900 millimeters of rainfall, and we have Badagry as well. We have Ikorodu, as well as Lagos Island, which Lagos Island is going to be experiencing 1,936 millimeters of rainfall, and Epe is going to be experiencing 1,952 millimeters of rainfall. We might be thinking that what's the cause of the increase in rainfall this year? One of the causes of increase in rainfall this year is climate change. Climate change is causing irregular shifts in weather patterns. That is what we are experiencing right now. We are having longer rainfall, which is opposed to normal, and that's as a result of climate change. It is not just another rainy season. I don't want us to think that we are just having another rainy season. It's this particular rainy season is when we need to take action. We need to call ourselves to order. We need to inform our friends. We need to call our community together. We need to be proactive. We need to take actions before it gets to that point where we now start looking for solutions. Being proactive is the key, right? Why do you think I'm talking about Lagos flood? Why Lagos in particular? Why Lagos? First, I am from Lagos. Second is Lagos is the economic capital of West Africa. And Lagos is the economic capital of the state, of the country. This is where majority of the economic activities go on. And for a period like this, many businesses might shut down. Many businesses might be affected due to the rainy season, which is best to be very proactive in order to keep our economy steady. Because right now we're at a point where the economy is very crazy and everybody's trying to make money one way or the other. And inflation is affecting everybody and every businesses. So imagine inflation beating you on one side, and then the rainfall is crumbling your business on the other side. That's not fair. That is why I am here to discuss with business owners, small business owners, and mid-scale business owners, as well as large-scale business owners, that we need to be very much aware. If you have a company and you have workers, you might please tell them to work remotely. And rainfall is not just going to affect businesses, it's going to affect the power. And electricity is already bad. Now imagine this amount of rainfall. It is going to affect power. So this is the best time for you to, if you have an alternate source of energy. If you've been wanting to invest in an alternative power supply, maybe it is now that you can, because we don't know what might happen. Stronger winds might break poles. Stronger winds might, affect the old grid system. We don't know. And the national grid are falling. We don't know what to expect. That is why we need to be very proactive with everything that we do. Lagos is very natural, very, very prone to flooding. First is because Normally, according to the topography and the geographical location of the state, it is very, very prone to flooding. It is a welcome event that we should not, it should not seem strange to a state that is at this that has that type of geographic location and topography. Lagos is, if you've not known before, Lagos is averagely 1.5 meters below sea level. What it means to be below sea level means that this is the sea here, this is the level of the sea here, and this is where you are below sea level. So if you were above sea level, the sea will be here and you will be here, your land is going to be here. So that means that if the sea can overflow, if the water body goes up, right, chances that it is going to overflow the banks into the land. It's a very logical thing to happen. So it is not strange. It is not strange. But we are also causing other things like dumping our refuse in drainage system, in the drainage part. Let's say you have a drainage part now and you had already poured your refuse up until this point. When it rains continuously and you have an increased amount of rainfall, the water does not have a way to flow down to the ocean and down to the river. Then it starts building up, and before you know it, the water starts flowing on into the roads, and everywhere becomes flooded. That is what happens with Lagos State. So because we already know that this state is below sea level, we should not tamper with its drainage. We should not tamper with the drainage system. We should not mess with the drainage system of the state. That is why when you see somebody trying to pour refuse into drainage, this is the best time to slap sense into the person's head and say, because you're not just causing pollution and making everywhere stink. Everywhere is actually stinking in Lagos because Lagos is a coastal city. It's surrounded by large water bodies. There is no way that there will be no moisture. And imagine somebody had dumped their refuse in a drainage part. There will be moisture, and that would eventually result into stench odor. That is what you will perceive. Because of the moisture that we already have naturally in Lagos, it is going to definitely stink. 80% of the flooding that we have in Lagos State is as a result of clogged drainage. And that is because of the high population and lack of awareness or lack of enforcement. Maybe people know the right thing to do, but they fail to do the right thing because there's nobody to hold them to it. So right now we're having rising sea level as a result of climate change and increased global temperature. Which on the other side again, we have clogged drainage. So water is going to flow onto land on both sides. Increasing sea level, water is coming to land. Clogged drainage, water is coming to land. I read a case of a babe one time on the internet where she had, there are this particular day where you've had the worst day. Everything that could go wrong, everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong that particular day. And you felt like, oh, you've escaped. And you're getting home to retreat, rest and sleep. And, upon getting home, your entire house is flooded. Your apartment is flooded because down your street, the drainage is blocked, and that way the water cannot see where to. Runoffs, we call them runoff. Whenever it rains, that water that is always on the floor, that rains, there are runoffs that would eventually get into the drainage, into the gutter. In case you don't know what drainage is, into the drainage part, that's gutter. If your gutter is blocked, your runoff does not have anywhere to flow to, then it comes back into your room. It finds a space to get back into your apartment, into your compound, into your house, which might result in loss of properties, sometimes loss of life. And some other reasons why it floods in Lagos is because of the dam, the Ogun River basin. The dam. Whenever they release the dam, the water flows down because that is a water channel going into the lagoon, into the Lagos lagoon. So every water, they say every water connects. they have like a source. Whenever the Ogun River Basin Authority, whenever they release the dam rather, the water flows through the Ogun River part down to the Lagos Lagoon. Now imagine if the Ogun River part, the river part is clogged and water cannot pass. That large amount of water coming from the dam would result into flooding. That's why some communities in Lagos State are very prone to that, which is we have communities in Lagos that are very, very, very prone to that. The Omojuwa community is very, 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 very prone to flooding as a result of the release of the dam. In 2012, Lagos State experienced a crazy flood scenario that happened in the Ikorodu Mile 12 region, where a particular area, that's Majidun, Ajegunle, Omojuwa, Mile 12, those areas in Lagos State got flooded that they had to relocate every of the people living in that community to a camp where they had to stay for a while. And that's causing displacement. People lost life, people lost properties, people got displaced from their families, from their homes. It is very crazy and sad. That is why it is important that now that the rainy season is here and it is coming, maybe this Saturday, this coming weekend, in your community, you can bring everybody together to clear your drainage. Those are the things that I believe everybody can do. First thing first is, one thing, clear your drainage. Bring your community together. You guys should have a joint environmental cleaning thing this Saturday. Try to clear your drainage, remove everything that is blocking your drainage. And it is not the ones that you clear your drainage and then you put the dirt that you cleared from the drainage, you put it by the side of the gutter. So you people get me fed up. How is that supposed to, what is that supposed to do? Eventually it's still going to go back into the drainage and you still carry it again. It's just something that does not make sense. So whenever you are clearing the drainage, put it into waste bag. And then I'm sure that the Lagos State Waste Management Authority they are being proactive right now in getting people's waste out of the roadside and everything. They will come and pick it up. Contact them. They are very proactive this period. They are working overtime trying to save the state from economic loss, because Lagos State lose a certain amount of money yearly as a result of economic disruption and business shuts down during rainy season. We don't want to go through economic loss. We're already going through a lot as a nation financially, than for us to now go through this type of loss that can be avoidable and we can salvage our way around it. So now this is the best time for you to stop littering your environment. This is the best time for you to make use of your brain and make use of the trash can around you. This is the best time for you to act as a community, for you to work together and call everybody on your street that, yes, this is the best time for you to do that. This is the best time for you to make friends with your neighbor, so that in case it floods in your house, you can have somewhere to sleep. This is the best time for you to tell a friend to tell another friend. This is the best time for you to improve your own personal preparedness. If you live on the highland and you're not so sure if it is going to rain in your area, why not park your car on the mainland? Yeah, why not park your car on the mainland? Find places that they're a little bit above sea level and park your cars there, in order to avoid financial losses that I don't think you can easily cough out the money to repair. And this is the best time for you to advocate. Share this video with anybody that you know, anybody that you love, that you care for. Share with your brother, share with your sisters, share with your friends, share with your enemy. Tell them about what we need to do in order to save our also land. Lagos is the home for business, center for excellence. This is where people come to also their way out of poverty. Why not let's save Lagos State? Because this is our home, and eventually we are not going to leave Lagos, and we do not want Lagos to leave us. So one might be thinking that, what survival tip do I think I need to have during this period, during the rainy season? First thing first is flash floods. Like I said earlier, flash floods is what we experience in Lagos, and one thing flash floods does is it disrupts business, like I said earlier, and it affects transportation. Already we have a transportation problem, a mass transportation problem in Lagos State. So if it rains, you know what happens with transportation in Lagos State. So we need to be very proactive. We need to stand on top of business and look far ahead in order to beat whatever is coming. So this is the period where you need to have alternative source of transportation and explore other source of transportation, because you do not want to congest the already flooded roads. And power outage might increase. I'm not saying might increase, because as a result of increased winds that we are expecting. So this is the time that you need to have alternative power supply. Then we have waterborne diseases that might go on the rise, because as of last year we experienced a cholera outbreak during the rainy season, which is important to note that this is the best time for you to be very conscious of what you eat and what you drink, and wash your hand regularly this period. Wash your hand as often as possible. Be very careful of the water that you buy on the road to drink. Some water are not actually safe for drinking, and invest in good food, eat healthy. Don't just buy food by the roadside, because you don't know what water they use to prepare that food. And then stagnant water is going to bring more mosquitoes, which might result in malaria. So this is the best time for you to use your mosquito nets if you have one, or if you live or clear your drainage, clear every stagnant water that you might find in your environment, clear it. And then what are the things that you can do to stay safe aside that is check weather updates daily. Go online, use Google, check weather updates daily. Is it going to rain today? What type of rainfall are we expecting? Are we expecting heavy rainfall, heavy downpour, storm, or whatever? Be very, very prepared. Then have waterproof shoes. You might be very much familiar with areas that are very prone to flooding. I already mentioned some, and this is the time for you to avoid flooded roads, because as much as we have bad drainage systems, some drainage too, you don't even know. We don't know what parts. If you are very familiar with Lagos roads, there are some part of the drainage that has been opened up, and imagine if it floods, you don't know what part has been opened up. I pray that nobody falls into the drainage. I pray that we do not lose life this year as a result of flooding. So there's this thing, we cannot differentiate where the actual road is away from where the gutter and the drainage part is. And I pray that nobody falls into canals, nobody falls into drainage where the flood would wash the person off. Have personal emergency drills, because you might contact flu from commuting and interacting with people. You might contact flu. This is the best time for you to always wash your hand regularly. This is the best time for you to have sweater and invest in sealed drinking water. As much as we have sealed drinking water, we have counterfeit products, a lot of them going around in Lagos. This is another time for you to purchase from a trusted supplier sealed drinking water, because you don't want to buy a water that would eventually lead you and take you to the hospital. So now this is the way forward. Take community cleanups very, very seriously. This is the time where everybody, landlord association and youth association in the community, need to come together to do community cleanup. This is the best time to be proactive and not reactive. This is the best. Don't wait for the flood. We don't need to wait for the flood. This is the best time for us to do everything we can to protect the state from flooding and from resulting into economic loss. Sometime years ago, I lost a distant relative to flooding, which is something that breaks my heart whenever I hear of flooding. That is why it is important to tell everybody, to tell another person to please be proactive when it comes to keeping their environment safe and clean during this period. You've heard what we are dealing with in Lagos, and you know what to do right now, and you know how best to inform every other person. Share this podcast with anybody that you know. Share with your friends, share on your story, share on your social media platforms. Let people be informed, because this is a collective effort that I cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. Teamwork is the dream work, so we need to do it together. We need to do it collectively. We need to be proactive. Rain itself is not the problem. Our lack of preparation is, and our lack of preparedness is. If we don't want to keep reliving the same flooding issues year in, year out, what we need to do is to start acting now So join the conversation, reach out to me, share this podcast, tell a friend to tell another friend, and that is all I want to say. So stay safe, be good, and we'll be fine at the end of the day. We'll be fine. And I pray that we do not go with the flow. Peace. If you have any contribution or any comments to drop, you can reach out to me personally, or you can drop your comments on any of our socials, or send us a message on any of our socials, and I will definitely respond. If you'd like to join the podcast, feature on the podcast on one episode, reach out. Feel very free to reach out to us. I am readily available. Thank you, bye, and see you some other time.
So this is it. Are you seeing?
This is a community in Owode Oniru in Lagos State. Every year, residents of this
This is absolute nonsense. Our government needs to come to